Yep, Cursor ended up doing it. They ended up doing a pay-to-play model, which I knew was going to happen. And what I mean by that is if you follow the video game world, there's a pay-to-win model that video games use. Gamers hate it. They hate the idea of being able to pay more to do better in a game. And that's really what Cursor is doing. They are making it so that you can pay more to get access to better capabilities. Now, in this case, I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why they're doing it. It's just a circumstance of business. They have to make money. But I hate the idea of it being pay to win. If I want the best model now, I can no longer use my premium credits for it. I have to pay to win. I have to pay to use it. Now, this new max mode is incredible. And ultimately, what it does is it unlocks all the capability of Claude 3.7 thinking. It now allows you to use the entire 200,000K context window, which is a little disappointing. We weren't able to do that before. And it also has a much higher tool limit call. They do say that this is not for the average user. So to give you an example of this, I had a task that I gave Claude 3.7 Sonnet Max, and it was a large file, way too big. I say this in a lot, but this file was just one that has beaten me up a while. It was about 2,000 lines. I said, I want you to plan and break up this file into subcomponents. And it freaking did amazing. And it cost me 35 cents with the Max model. So on the other hand, it's not that expensive if it doesn't go off the rails. Because even if this would have failed, I wouldn't have been that mad about 35 cents. And in fact, I tried the same thing with the normal non-max mode and it failed. I tried the same thing with Claude 3.5 Sonnet and it failed. I did this in root code via the Claude 3.7 thinking and it also failed. So there's something magic, at least in this particular use case, that it was able to take this context, it kept everything functional, and ultimately I was able to get to a point where I was happy with the result. And this is the file. Like the other examples, the table was misformatted, the buttons were broken. I have an animation that comes up when I hit generate, the card and table view got broken. But no, Max kept it all, and it reduced the file size significantly, about 40%. It reduced it. So not exactly where I want it, but much better. So yeah, now we have a pay to win mode in Cursor, which I'm going to take advantage of. And if you look at one of my last videos, I actually said we need to be prepared. AI prices are increasing. I actually even have Cursor in my thumbnail here with Claude saying up arrow. Because remember, Cursor is a middleman. They sit between the IDE and Claude. Claude is the one that's going to get most of the revenue. That's going to trickle down to them. That's what happens. They're going to be the ones that the middleman relies on. They can charge whatever they want. They've got the premium there. Cursor's got to figure out a way to make a profit. So they went on to also change another thing. And this one I am the most sad about. They basically have made Claude Sonnet 3.7 Thinking take 2 premium credits instead of 1. And going back through my history, you can just see Claude 3.7 Sonnet Thinking is my main model. So if I continue working the way I do now, I basically halved the amount of output that I had before. I can use basically half the number of credits. So this now forces me, rather than looking at Cursor as like set it and forget it, which I really appreciated about Cursor, because I could just put it into a single model mode and just let it go. Whereas in root code, I'm constantly tuning and tweaking, which if you follow my videos, you'll see how I do that. But in Cursor, it's just sort of my set it and forget it. It's kind of my dummy mode, my easy mode. And now it's changing a little bit. So it has me a little bit worried that Cursor might be losing some of its moat. To me, like Cursor's moat was it's dummy proof. You just get in, you don't have a lot of configuration, you just let it go. But now they're starting to introduce all of these things, right? So now I've got a pay to win model that I can use where I can actually get better output on more complex things by paying a little bit more. I also have different things that actually take different numbers of premium credits that originally only took 1. But again, it all goes back to this. They have to do this. They have to figure out a way to make money. So ultimately, I think this is going to continue. I think this is just the beginning of what Cursor has in store for us because they are most likely losing a significant amount of money. And if you disagree with me, I'd love to know in the comments below why you disagree. But remember, revenue does not equal profit. And if you dig into this a little bit, Not like they're doing anything special here. Claude 3.7 Max is not a new model. It's basically using what already exists slightly different. Think about that. We were technically getting a kind of gimped version of Claude 3.7 thinking, and now that gimped version costs double the credits. And if we want the full version of Claude 3.7 thinking, we have to pay to use it. It's not just part of our credits. So I am not a fan of this model, but I don't know what else they can do other than raise the monthly fee. Because at the end of the day, this company needs to exist, and it needs to make money. It needs to make a return for its investors. And it's not going to do that unless it does things like this. But it's unfortunate to me that basically what I paid for, what I bought Cursor for, the rules have changed on me. When I paid for Cursor and I started using Claude 3.7 Think, it was 1 premium credit. But that has been changed. The value that I placed on my subscription and that I continue to pay for has been changed. And that is going to keep happening. We're going to see this time and time again. We're probably going to see max mode prices go up. We're probably going to see new versions of max mode with other models where they unlock more of the capabilities on it. At the end of the day, most of us that are professional engineers are working on complex things at some point. And we need the biggest and best thing to help us achieve that goal more quickly. This kind of puts me in a situation where I have to pay for this now. Because I can either go fight for an hour with a smaller model or spend 3 hours trying to write it myself, or I can pay money to this max version to actually get it done quicker. And that is the future that I think we're in store for here. It's very much like the pay to win in video games. There are times that me grinding through something to get to some certain unlock that I want isn't worth it, where I'll just pay the $4.99 to get it. And I know that's not like the most popular thing, but it's what we do as humans. Like we equate a time and pain and effort to value, which we should. If max mode continues to be as good as what I've seen so far, I don't know how I don't pay for it. Now, is it perfect? No, no model is perfect. I've had it fail a few times as well. But I will say it has done things that other models couldn't do, both in root code and in Cursor. One thing that I also found was very interesting is it's been a topic from the beginning of time where people constantly think the model is having a bad day or dumbed down. And I would say typically I chalk that up to, models are non-deterministic. They're going to have different outputs for different inputs. And there's no way to say, like, I should always be getting this exact quality of code or this exact quality of output. But I will say, I've been fighting with Claude 3.7 a lot lately. Whether it was just simple API errors, like I was getting a bunch of overloaded errors, or just being incredibly slow, or doing things that made no sense. But I do have a suspicion, now that we do know that Claude 3.7 Sonnet thinking in Cursor was kind of a gimped version, and we have to pay to get the full version. This question here kind of makes sense, because theoretically, they maybe didn't dumb it down, but theoretically what they've done is, yes, they've got a gimped version of thinking that we use, and we can pay up to get the full version. So yeah, I do think it's a fair question. While I think the intention of that is more asking if Claude 3.7 got worse, I think another way to think about it is, why are we starting with a gimped out version and then paying to get a better version? And is that going to be the normal going forward? And are we going to end up in a situation where the usage, the credits, the premium requests are actually going to change after the fact? Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it here. Appreciate you guys watching until the end. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, until next time, everyone, peace out.